Yo, what's up, y'all? So there's this very funny psychological human tendency, or maybe not so funny if you're not aware of it. It's called the end of history illusion. And basically, what the end of history illusion is it's that really funny thing you do, like every 6 months or so, where you look back at your past self, you look back at like their thoughts, their beliefs, their behaviors, their motivations, whatever it might be, and notice the way I'm saying their and not your, right? Very interesting thing I'm saying. Maybe not interesting, but anyways, you look back at your past self and you say, oh my god, that person thought they had it figured out. But they were so stupid. That person thought they knew what they were doing. That person thought they were smart and had their whole life, figured out to a T. But instead, they were buffoons. And now I've learned, right? Now in the present, I'm good. I'm not going to change, right? That it's this idea, the end of history, as it's kind of a dramatic name, I know, but as it entails, we humans think that who we are right now is who we will be forever. For example, the things you like or dislike will be the same. The foods that you eat, the foods that you hate. Maybe the place that you live, the place that you don't live. The sort of career you might have, the jobs you might have. I think adolescents and teenagers and young 20-year-olds for that matter, like me, we're especially vulnerable to this thing where, the end of history, we think whoever we are now is who we'll always be, but that's just not true. I mean, look back at your past self, right? Look back, if you're 21 like me, look back at when you were 16 and see how many of those thoughts and beliefs and behaviors you had at 16 are good or quote-unquote applicable for you right now, right? Like, probably none, right? I think the only thing I thought at 16 that was, like, pretty good for me at that point was, like, I should be friendly and nice to people, like as a baseline, and that being confident is probably a pretty good thing. Oh, and reading books, right? Like, that was my life at 16. Like, that's what I thought I had figured out, nowadays when I look back. So anyways, this end of history illusion, it's this idea that you have stopped changing and that whoever you are now has got it figured out. Now, the funny thing about this, though, is if you look back, and you look back at who you are 6 months ago, or who you were 12 months ago, you did the exact same thing. Your 12-month ago self thought your 18th month ago self was stupid and idiotic and was just hubristic, and your 12-month ago self thought they had it figured out. And the same thing happened 6 months later, where 6 months ago you were looking back at your 12 months ago self and you were like, oh my god, that person was an idiot. And here's the funny thing. Every single time I look back, whether it be I look back who I was a year ago, I look back who I was 2 years ago, I'm constantly like, wow, that person was an idiot, right? But now I've got it figured out. Now I'm smart. And the funny thing is, in 6 months, I'm going to look back, probably at this video, and I'm going to say, wow, that person was an idiot. So, this end of history illusion, it's, as it says in the name, it's an illusion. Now, I think number one, the reason why I want to kind of talk about this, and we'll tie it in later because we're going to tie it into problems. But the reason I'm addressing this is because I think the more you think that who you are today is static and is kind of fixed in nature, the more you think yourself is fixed in nature, the less prone you are to change things. The less prone you are to maybe take a risk. The less prone you are to maybe change up your routine or habits. The less prone you are to say, I'm not a piece of shit. I'm actually someone who is capable of controlling my future, right? I believe your ability to change your fate is directly linked to how malleable or how static you think your identity or yourself is. So the more you think you are unchangeable, the more you think you have reached the end of history, the more you will stay mired in your old routines. The more you will stay stuck in your old habits, in your old patterns of thinking, right? But when you accept and embrace the fact that you are a constantly changing, morphing self, that your identity is constantly in flux, constantly going back and forth and left and right and this and that, that allows you to make changes at a much faster rate because your sense of self, the thoughts you have, the way you look at yourself, the way you describe yourself to other people starts to be a lot less serious and a lot more malleable, all right? Now, the reason I want to bring this up is, well, real quick, as I mentioned, the best way to combat this end of history illusion and keep that sort of malleability of yourself, of your identity, the best way to combat that is simply remind yourself that, 6 months ago, you thought you had it figured out, you don't. 12 months ago, you thought you had it figured out, you didn't. 18 months ago, blah, 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 so forth. The reason I'm bringing this up is because, problems. You're a human being, I would hope, unless you're a dog, which is pretty crazy if you're watching this in a dog, but you're a human being, I'm a human being, and there's a very funny thing about human beings is that we're really good at finding problems. We're also really good at making problems, so I'm especially very good at that. But, I tend to be very good at that, at least my 21-year-old silly self. And I don't know what your problems are, and they're probably a lot more severe than mine. They may not be, but I'll tell you about my problems right now just because I'm a narcissistic fuck and I love the attention, right? My entire sense of self is dependent on what you, the viewer, think about me, so funny thing. Anyways, though, the sort of problems I'm going through right now, and these are kind of the two main ones. I also want to, before I dive into this, these are the things that I see as problems or things that are troubling me in some degree, but that is not to say that I am excusing them. That is not to say that I am not actively working towards them, and that's not to say that maybe my conception of my problems can be improved. So if you're someone who thinks about problems a lot and thinks about yourself a lot and how you look at problems, please comment down below, reach out to me, whatever you might. But the two problems I have right now are, number one, job related, and number two, sort of relationship related. Number one, job. I am 21. I'm about to graduate from university, and it feels kind of weird. I've done internships, I've done past gigs, but I haven't really enjoyed them. And the thing that I really do enjoy is something which isn't very well established, right? It isn't very well carved of a path. I want to do media and content for technology and science startups and companies, right? That's what I love. I love science and technology. Not only do I love the fields of say, neuroscience or artificial intelligence is fascinating and all these kind of things, but I love hanging around people who are science and technology people because they tend to be a bit more optimistic. They tend to be agentic and forward-thinking. So I want to do that. I want to make content and media for startup companies, right? Work in an accelerator or an incubator and just like make videos of the cool people that are there. The problem I'm facing right now at 21 years old is the thing I want to go into, which is the content and media for startups, is not a very well-defined path. And what I mean by that is it's a lot of freelancing right now, it's a lot of creating my own connections, and it's a lot of like kind of creating my own space in a company, which is very exciting, right? Because I feel like I'm kind of early, right? I feel like I'm kind of, I feel like personally I'm onto something here, but it's not a very straightforward path, right? It's not, applying to jobs on LinkedIn or applying to, reaching out to the marketing coordinator and just like hoping things will go well. Like, no. It is a lot of doing. And that's really cool because I think I'm an action-oriented person and I deliver. But to be honest, I'm not good enough yet. At least in my point of view. I need to be better at my craft. I need to be a better editor. I need to be a better filmer. I need to be better at coming up with ideas, which is great because that's exciting. There's opportunities for me to grow, but at the same time, it's like, oh fuck, I need to start landing work and getting a job, but I don't feel like I'm at that point yet, right? I'm confident in my ability to learn, but at least right now, February 14th, 2025, I'm not there just yet. I'm getting there, but I'm not there yet. And as a result, there's a little bit of worry. There's a little bit of fear. And that's kind of the first issue I'm facing. And the second issue I'm facing is, it's sort of relationship oriented. I'm single right now, and, I'm actively, going on dates or seeing people and this and that, and I just went out to dinner with this really cool girl the other day, and it was great, right? And now, of course, I have the whole thing rattling in my mind, like, oh, does she like me? Oh, will things work out? Like, just the usual neurotic 21-year-old who reads too much philosophy kind of behavior, right? So that's what's going on. But man, yeah, I feel like I'm ready for a relationship, all that kind of stuff. But at least right now, I am single, right? And something I've noticed is I don't want to say I feel lonely, but I definitely feel alone sometimes. Um, I'm a very odd and eccentric person, as you can guess. And it's just an odd thing, right? So the fact that I'm going out with some people and I enjoy them and they seem to enjoy me slightly is exciting. But I still feel that sort of doubt or that pull at some point. So that's a sort of emotional thing I'm working through. Um, I'm not trying to absolve myself of any responsibility. I'm not trying to complain. I'm not trying to whatever it might be, but that's just sort of the normal existential angst that comes with a 21-year-old when it comes to romance and love and intimacy. At least me as a 21-year-old. So there's a sort of angst that comes up when you're single. Nonetheless, working towards it, not that big of a deal. But maybe I'm just an insecure fuck, like, and you can make fun of me and call me names and whatever, but like, that's just what I'm feeling, and what I'm feeling is what I'm feeling. So, anyways, back to the end of history illusion and why this is important in the context of the problems we are facing. As I was walking today, I realized something, which is the problems I'm facing right now are really good problems to have. And in fact, I'm really grateful for the problems I have right now. Because 2 or 3 years ago, dude, even 6 months ago, the problems I had then were even bigger. They were even more existential or more angsty. Because 2 years ago, man, or actually 3 years ago, dude, when I was a freshman in high school, freshman in college, and I was 18 years old, I was a lot more confused. I was a lot more anxious about not only like what work I might do in my future, but like who I am. Like the problems I was dealing with at 18 years old was like problems of identity, problems of the self, problems of like what do I like what do I want out of this world? Who am I? Am I a confident person? Am I not? Am I this kind of fuck boy? Am I just like a lover boy? Am I super outgoing and extroverted and I could do anything? Or like am I just this insecure fuck who like stands around all day and hopes life will be better, right? Like I had a lot, and I still do, of trouble with this identity, this sense of self. In the fact that 3 years later I'm standing here at 21 years old and the things I'm worrying about is like a job and like landing a job, like that's amazing, dude. Like that is fucking amazing that these are the problems I have now. That these are like the scale of problems I have now. Because at 18, I could not tell you what I wanted to do. Now I know what I want. I know what the job I want would look like. When I was 18, I couldn't. I didn't even know what I wanted. I couldn't tell you how I would get there. I was just like frazzled. And now when I look at myself at 21, it kind of puts my problems into perspective because, man, back then, in the past, I was dealing with tougher shit. It was not merely a problem of, nowadays the issue I have related to jobs is like, I just need to do the work and get better and land it. Like, I know what I need to do. But dude, when I was 18 and I had these sort of job worries or these future anxieties, it was so much cloudier. It was so much less defined. It was so much scarier, man. So, and double clicking on the relationship thing, man, like when I was 18, same thing. I didn't have friends. Like, I didn't have good fucking friends like I do now. You see, here at 21 years old, the issue I'm encountering, the problem I'm facing, at least what I think I'm facing, is I'm romantically single. That's, being changed as we speak. But right now, that's like the main sort of existential angst. Dude, at 18 years old, I didn't have friends in college that I could truly fuck with and trust fully. Right? At 18 years old, I had just gotten done with a breakup. I was like questioning, am I even capable of love? Right? Maybe I'm just like super neurotic and crazy, and like maybe nothing I'm saying makes sense, but like, dude, the problems I was dealing with at 18 were like, I don't have friends I care about. I don't have people that I truly fuck with. I am questioning whether or not I'm even lovable to a degree. Like, I had these real big fears about who I was. These real big unanswerable questions. And now at 21, a lot of those fears have gone away. Not gone away permanently. They're still there. But they're in the closet somewhere. They're packed away and put into suitcases. Because I do have friends that I fucking love. I think I have the coolest friends in the goddamn world. And I know you think your friends are cool, but you haven't met my friends. And even though every now and then when I get, maybe a little bit tipsy, or a little bit too tipsy rather, and it's like 3 a.m. and I'm walking home from a bar with my friend, and I'm like sort of going through this existential angst, right? And I'm like, oh my god, like, am I even lovable? Like, I'll have those questions. Like, that might happen once in a blue moon, but it really doesn't anymore. This sounds so simple. This sounds kind of self-evident maybe to you guys, but like to me, like I know I'm capable of receiving and giving love. I know I am. I feel it. And to have that is just like, oh my god, it's amazing. So I guess like what I'm saying here is the problems I faced at 18 were gigantic in comparison to the problems I'm facing now. Whether it be in the world of jobs in the future, like now I know what I want to do. At 18, I didn't know what I was good at. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know who I wanted to do it with. I didn't know anything. I had no sort of self-knowledge. Nowadays at 21, when I'm feeling a bit lonely or a bit single and sort of like, I at least know what a good relationship might look like or feel like. But at 18, dude, as I just had gotten out of a relationship, I didn't know what that was like. I didn't know what really feeling love was like. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what a good girlfriend looked like to me. And now I do. I do. Fuck, maybe this is all just me, like, trying to convince myself, and you're just here watching along, but I appreciate that you're here. So the problems I faced at 18 were just 10 times bigger than the problems I'm facing now. And, like, kind of tying it back with the end of history illusion, the idea that, like, every 6 months you kind of look back and you think, oh, that guy was an idiot, he didn't have it figured out. And that's going to continue to happen. I think in a way, reminding yourself how much you've changed combats the end of history of illusion, and reminding yourself of the problems that you faced in the past and how they compare to the ones you're facing now allows you to get through this tough shit. Or at least it does for me. Because the problems that we are facing today are different in manifestation, but the same sort of essence, right? 6 months ago when I was in Los Angeles and I just moved there for work, for like an internship, I had no friends out there. That was my problem. I had no friends. That was the main sort of existential angst I was facing. Or just angst, right? It was I had no friends, right? And I worked and I did it, and I left LA with fucking dozens of great friends. So that's amazing. But like, the problem I'm facing now, which is maybe connection or singleness or whatever it might be, it's the same color of problem I've experienced. It's the same color, same essence I've done before. I've been through it before. So the things that you might be facing today, like, I know it feels scary and I know it feels ugly and I know you want to cry and just shrivel up into a little ball and hope things will get better, but like, you've been through shit before, man. You have been through it. You have been through it, and you've gotten out of it, and you've gotten forward. So don't fucking forget that. Don't forget that shit, because I do sometimes. I do forget it, and I want to slap myself on the face because I'm a buffoon when I forget it. Oh, yeah. Well, I was gonna say do me a favor, but actually don't do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. And remind yourself how often you change. And how often the problems that you're facing today are the same color, the same essence, the same feeling as the ones you've faced before. Because you can do this shit, man. You can do this shit. You've been through it. And you could go through it again. So the things that you're facing today, I know you're going to get through it. And more importantly than me knowing you could get through it, you know you could get through it. Because the things that you faced a few years ago, a few months ago, a few whatevers ago, they pale. Or rather, the problems you face now pale in comparison to those ones. I really appreciate you listening. Even if you didn't listen, I appreciate you being here. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Have a good day. Share this with someone if you thought it was cool. And, I don't know, start a conversation with a stranger today. They'll be grateful you did. Bye.